This is my home. You know, I was here for 8 years and just so grateful for all the beautiful teachings and the wisdoms that I was able to receive during that time. And it's good to be back. Hey, Jan, look at you over in the corner. I didn't see you over there. Wow. Well, you know, Pastor Elizabeth and Tony have been away for a much-needed little break. And we just pray that, you know, sometimes getting away from the normal day-to-day can be good for just clearing out your mind and your heart. So we pray for them as they have safe travels as they return back. And just so grateful for the good work that they do here. Dale and Jeannie, I met you guys a few weeks ago at the Huna training, and you guys just have the most beautiful heart. So thank you for sharing all your gifts here with us as well. We are grateful for you being here in Unity. Thank you both so much. And I'm just honored to be able to speak here today. You know, we've had some really challenging energies over the past, first quarter of this year. A lot of changes have been going on, and astrologically, there's a lot that goes into that. You know, as we live day-to-day life, we're thinking, oh man, what's happening today? But the way I look at astrology is a really great way of looking at things, because guess what? God made the heavens and the earth, right? And so he put things in motion in the way that it should be. Today, we're actually going to look at a little bit of astrology before we get started. How are you guys doing with the new moon eclipse energies that just happened? Anybody feeling that? Anybody? Bueller, thank you. I see that hand in the back. Yeah. You know, you get those energies. We've just had a new moon. What I love about a new moon, it's all about new beginnings. You can set things straight. And dude, couple that with like the eclipse energy that came in behind it, that is some really powerful things. And we're going to look this morning real quick about how we can really use these eclipse energies like to our benefit and to what that looks like going forward. It's a special one with the solar eclipse. And this event that we just had yesterday on the 29th brings a burst of energy that can help us grow, dream big, and start fresh, while most importantly, getting you to shine bright. So today I'm going to ask you to take out those beautiful cloths, that you clean silver with, all right? We're going to be cleaning our hearts and our minds, and we're going to just be able to open that up. This moon that we just had is going to help usher in new beginnings. And it encourages fresh starts for a new cycle. It's like hitting a reset button on your dreams. All right? Now, many of us have dreams that we used to have as a kid, but we sort of put those to the side. Because it's like, you know what? I don't need to keep dreaming. Guess what? You do need to keep dreaming. And this is a good time using these solar eclipse energies to reset and to really look at that. Now, what makes this important is it was in Aries. All right? Do we have any Aries in the building today? Yes, sir. I love that. Yeah, look at Al in the back. I love that beautiful Aries energy. That's a bold energy. And this new moon in Aries is a sign that loves action and bravery. And this is a time to really step into all that God's created you to be and to be fearless. To be what? Fearless. Thank you. Let's try that again. Stepping into being what? Fearless. Thank you. Now, this solar eclipse energy has a boost of energy that happens with this new moon, making it super strong for us. And spiritual growth awaits, that moment that helps you connect with your inner self to achieve that growth. And it's also a good time to set goals with confidence. So not only are we going to be fearless, but we're going to be confident in the goals that we're going to set forward. So this new moon is like a clean slate. It helps wipe away old stuff to help us to begin again. So if we really harness into that energy and bring it in, it lets us know what we can do to keep moving forward. So what does that mean for you? It's the first sign of the zodiac, and it's full of fire and energy. And this sign loves leading and doing things first. It's about courage. And also this new moon makes you want to step up and to shine. So that's a wonderful thing. So what does this have to do, Troy? Spirituality. We're in church today. So spiritually, bring this home so I can understand what that means for you. All right? First, it's about starting over. This Aries energy in the solar eclipse say, hey, let's go. It gives you a chance to grow and to grow inside, and you can find your inner strength. And it's about letting go of old things that no longer serve you. So this is a wonderful way. I sort of look at new moons like a slingshot, okay? So with a new moon energy, you're pulling back those things that you want to create, and when the full moon comes, you let that go, and then you release it, and to see all the gloriousness that happens with that. Now, I've got a friend of mine, her name is Susan Reynolds. Does anybody know Susan Reynolds on maybe Facebook that you follow her? She's a local astrologer. Love her. This morning, she had something really great to say, and I do want to share that with you guys, because I think this is important. But I got to put my vision specs on. Thank you, WG. So, today, March 30th, today we get to experience something that none of us have ever experienced before. Congratulations. This is going to be so good. All of us. And the reason is because Neptune, for the first time in 165 years, is going to enter into the sign of Aries. So congratulations for that. All right? So this Neptune energy will stay in Aries from now until October. And because Aries moves so slowly, it will not move deeply into Aries over the next dozen of years. And we see this mystical planet fully embrace the energies of Neptune. So what does that mean for us? For the last 12 years, Neptune has been in Pisces. Now, Pisces is a lovely energy, but also one that is about dreamy thinking, a loving energy, not always forceful. Aries, on the other hand, is all about doing and not dreaming. So, as the planet of our spiritual and mystical life enters the sign of forceful action, we will be called to take some action upon our dreams, like we just talked about, and to help them come true. And I just wanted to share that with you today because we're going to talk about something that's really fun about the Four Agreements. And the Four Agreements is all about really seeing life from a completely different perspective. So, we've got all the power of the universe that's working on our behalf today. Not only are we in Aries, bold energy, with the eclipse, but Neptune, that planet of mysticism and mystical, is going to bring a lot of stuff up. Now, we'll say this. If you think the first 3 months of this year have been interesting, honey, buckle up, because it's about to get really intense from there, okay? And yes, Aaron's like, yes, bring it on. So that's a good thing. So, Four Agreements. Give me 1 second. Four Agreements is a book that was written back in 1997 by a dear man, Don Miguel Ruiz, and it's a guide that offers a pathway to personal freedom and self-improvement through four simple yet profound agreements. The Four Agreements helps you to explore freedom, happiness, and love. That's sort of what it's all rooted in. And the philosophical insights of the Toltec, which are an ancient civilization native to Mexico, and these folks were considered to be illuminated back in that time, the beautiful Toltec people. So, folks, there's nothing new under the sun, but what I admire about what Don Miguel Ruiz was able to do is he was able to capture this beautiful ancient teaching and really put it into English so we could all understand it, if that makes sense. All right? So, taking those ancient teachings, making it applicable. As I like to say, he put the jelly on the bottom shelf. All right? So that way everybody can reach out to it. So these folks were considered illuminated, and the Toltecs were known as renowned men and women of knowledge, and were not just historical people, but also spiritual masters with a keen understanding of the human psyche and the universe. So the central point of the Four Agreements is that a person's life is determined by the agreements that they have made with themselves, they've made with others, with God, and with the society as a whole. So these are agreements that we sometimes consciously and sometimes subconsciously make with ourselves, all right? And so through these agreements, we can determine and see ourselves what is possible and how we should behave and our worth as a person. So, Troy, you're saying, all right, what are these four agreements? All right, very simply put, agreement number one, to be impeccable with your word. I'm going to let that sink in for a second. Agreement number one, be impeccable with your word. Number two, do not take anything personally. I really struggle with number two. Because as a golden retriever, okay, meaning my personality type, I strive to make everybody happy. It's like, hey, how you doing? Everything's good, all right? But sometimes we cannot be kind with our words sometimes, all right? As much as we struggle. Even us good Christians here in the church today, hallelujah, sometimes we even struggle with our words, all right? So, do not take anything personally. Number three, do not make assumptions. Amen. Thank you, WG. Do not make assumptions. Is that peace sign? Yes, don't make assumptions. Now, this is terrible, but when I was a kid, I learned about the word assumptions by Benny Hill. Do you guys remember Benny Hill? Oh yeah, he was a little randy, he was a little risque back in the day. Because anytime that we make assumptions, if you break that word down, you make an ass out of you and me. All right? So that's an easy way to remember that. So do not make assumptions you don't know. And that really happened like this past weekend. I met a guy, first time I'd met him, he walked up and he shook my hand just as strong as he could with his left hand. And I was like, okay. So I shook his hand with my left hand. which, you're supposed to shake hands with your right hand. So in my mind, I'm thinking, well, that's really odd. Why would he do that? And so, we go on with our activities, what we were doing. And before he leaves, he comes back up, has a beautiful heart, and he shook my hand with his left hand again. And I was like, why is this guy shaking his hands with the left hand? That's not how you do it. So I just let it go. So a few days later, I asked the guy who was sort of ahead of the event that we were at, and I'm like, this dude over here, he was a little bit odd. He shook hands with his left hand. And he was like, oh, Troy, you understand. He literally just got his hand out of the cast like the day before. So he was like babying his hand because he didn't want to take the chance of shaking hands with people because they thought he was going to mess it up again. Oh. And what did Mr. Hurst do? Well, I stepped in a big old pile is what I did, all right? And it was like, I made this terrible assumption of this man that I didn't even know because they didn't realize that he just had his cast out. They had just gotten out of his cast. Shame, all right? So don't make assumptions. And it happens all the time because we don't know what people are going through. We have no idea. You're driving on the road. Somebody might be driving slow in front of you. And you're like, come on, get out of the way. I've got someplace to be. They may have just got the message that their loved one had died and passed away. They're not with us. We make assumptions all the time. Do not assume. Number 4, always do your best. Always do your best. I love these 4 simple yet profound agreements that if we really dive into, which we're going to get to in just a few minutes, they really can be transformative and life-changing. So as I was reminded of these agreements, I was like, okay, God, I got a lot of work to do based on these 4 simple agreements. So we're going to break these down and see how we can use these in our everyday lives. So the first agreement, be impeccable with your words. Say that with me. Be impeccable with your words. Speaking with integrity and truth, using your words in a responsible and an empowering way. And what I admire about unity and the teachings that we have here, what you hold in mind comes out in time. So we sort of practice those, maybe sometimes we're not aware that we practice those. But be impeccable with your word. Underscores the profound power and impact our words have, and framing them as a fundamental tool in human interaction, because it's a mirror of our innermost thoughts. And with this understanding, we learn the concept that words are not merely sounds or written symbols, but are charged with energy that can either heal or harm. How many of you know that to be the case? Scripture talks about our tongue can speak life, it can speak death. Our tongue is like the rudder of our ship. A rudder is a very small portion of the ship, but it can guide you to where it needs to go. How many of you understand that? Our thoughts and our words create our reality. And metaphysically speaking, what you think in mind, like we talked about, comes out in time. So make sure your words are positive and encouraging and uplifting, especially to yourself. Because self-love is so important. We have the wonderful ability to extend grace to other people. Oh, bless their heart, they're having a bad day, or this is happening in their life. But lo and behold, you start doing something yourself, and what do? That finger comes right back. Hey, love yourself. You're the only self you got. And at the end of the day, guess what? You're the only one that you're responsible for. So love this. God created you. It divine's beautiful energy. And all the love that the divine has for you, love yourself. Be impeccable with your word, especially for yourself. Because there is great responsibility that comes with this power. As advocating for the use of words in ways that are aligned with truth and love, being impeccable with your word goes simply beyond not lying or gossiping, but involves a deep understanding of the weight of our words and the influence they have with ourselves and others. This agreement also teaches us that integrity in speech is a form of self-respect and respect for other people. In creating a foundation to trust and to clear communication, it reminds us to become aware of our language, and it encourages us to speak with sincerity and compassion. By adhering to this agreement, we can then transform our communication, which then fosters our positive growth both internally and with the world that we serve. So, be impeccable with your word. Number 2, the second agreement, don't take anything personally. I think this is the one that I probably struggle with the most. Avoid emotional suffering by understanding that others' actions and others' words are a reflection of their reality, not yours. It's a reflection of their reality. And my friend WG, thank you. You had recommended a book that I read by our dear friend Byron Katie, Loving What Is. Are you familiar with this book? Yes, Loving What Is so good because it really reflects the second agreement, don't take anything personally. Because loving what is and the effect of our freedom, not by creating stories or scenarios in our minds about what is happening with other people. The second agreement, don't take anything personally, offers a profound perspective and interpersonal interactions, posing that words and actions of others are more reflected on their truth than ours. This concept is understood when someone behaves negatively toward us, and it often stems from our own beliefs, their beliefs and experiences, and their internal struggles, rather than being true for us. And by adopting the understanding that people can shield themselves from unnecessary hurt and self-doubt that arises from personalizing others' behavior. And it was interesting how Spirit brought this into my reality a few weeks ago. So coming up in September, it'll be 3 years since my mom transitioned. And she loved nothing more than for all of us, I'm the oldest of 4 boys, to get together and to really continue our relationship. So each month since her transition, we have gotten together as a family. And it's been really remarkable, just reconnecting with your brothers. Now, although in birth order, I'm the number 1. Troy is like the oldest. You got Troy, Glenn, Marshall, and Mitchell. We're like little stair steps as we go down. However, my brother Glenn, who I love very much, and Glenn, if you're listening today, hey buddy. So Glenn, although he's second in command, in his mind, he's first in command. And guess what? Because that's not important to me, I gladly allow him to do that. Because for him, that's very important. Well, we were at dinner just a few weeks ago, and we sort of got to a lull in a conversation, and out of the blue, he says, Troy, you like to one-up people. And I was like, what? He's like, yeah, somebody's got a story saying you're always one of those people that likes to throw in and say, well, your knee's bad, well, both of my knees are bad. And I was completely in utter shock. I was like, what? It hurt. It was like a dagger that went through my heart. But I had to remember back to the second agreement, don't take anything personally. And I really thought about it for a second. And then the Spirit started speaking. He was like, you know, maybe that's true in some instances, Troy, but that's not who you are. That's more a reflection of who my brother is. And I was like, oh, I had to let that go. Because that was very hurtful. I couldn't take it personally. That was his interpretation of me. But sometimes those of you who do like psychological work, we understand that sometimes people like to project on you what they struggle with themselves. And this is not a judgment on Brother Glenn. You know, I've talked to him about this. But it's like, I think he's the one who struggles with the one-upness. And I'm not trying to justify anything. But the point was, it really hurt. But I had to realize I couldn't take that statement personally. I had to stop and evaluate. Okay, Spirit, does this really apply? And I really started to listen. Am I doing that? Am I really one-upping people? Because if you're a one-upper, God bless you. All right? There's no judgment with that. But stop! We don't need that, okay? Listen with empathy. Listen with love. So the concept is understood that when someone behaves negatively toward us, it stems from their belief and their struggles. By adopting this understanding, people can shield themselves like we talked about. This agreement teaches the value of emotional detachment and our sense of not allowing others' opinions or actions to dictate self-esteem or our emotional state. It encourages a deeper self-awareness and a stronger sense of inner security. So embracing this agreement leads to a significant shift of how one perceives and reacts to others that's going on. So, in other words, don't take things personally. I'm going to put the jelly on the bottom shelf again. Mind your own business. How's that? Mind your own business. Don't take anything personally. Mind your own business, because you don't know what's going on. Not at all. And again, I'm not here to like throw rocks at y'all today, all right? Because I'm just here to like help us to encourage us to be better and stronger human beings. All right, number 3, the third agreement. Simply put, do not make assumptions. And again, that's another one that I struggle with sometimes. Prevent misunderstandings and conflicts by seeking clarity and communicating openly instead of assuming things. And I have found as we go along, most people really have a problem with communicating. We think a whole lot of things, but we don't say a whole lot of things because we feel like, oh, what are they going to say? How are they going to judge me? What is that really going to look like? Don't make assumptions addresses a common root of misunderstandings and unnecessary sufferings in human interactions. It highlights the dangers in assuming that we know what other people are thinking or feeling or what their actions mean without direct communication. How many of you have been guilty of that? Oh yeah, I appreciate your honesty. I know that I certainly have. You know, my wife asks me frequently, are you okay? And I'm like, yeah, why, what's wrong? She's like, you're just being really quiet. And I'm like, yeah, I'm like thinking, I'm like just being here. You know, and again, it's like, we can't take things personally, we can't project things on, but it's like, it's all about communication because we just never know. We never know where people are. This agreement urges the importance of seeking clarity in all forms of interaction, advocating for the courage to ask questions and to express what we really want. And by doing it, it becomes possible to avoid misinterpretations that can damage relationships and cause emotional turmoils. When we seek to clarify or ask questions, it really saves a lot of turmoil. How many of you know about that? Yeah? How many of you have experienced that in your own personal life? When we can seek to understand. This agreement emphasizes clear, direct communication as the antidote and the assumption to help foster, again, openness and understanding. It teaches that when we stop assuming, we open ourselves up to more authentic interactions and deeper connections. And I love that. Number 4, the fourth agreement, simply put, always do your best. Can you say that with me?
Always do your best.
That's right. Put forth your best effort in all circumstances, understanding that your best can vary depending on the situation and the personal conditions that you're in. Okay? I found that out this week. I've started recently working with a trainer. All right? And so I told Mikhail, I was like, listen, I sit all day being a reflexology. I'm very sedentary. I said, I need to get active. I said, so I want you to kick my butt, buddy. Bro, put me in there. Like, help me do all the things. He's like, all right, Troy, we can do that. So, silly, on Thursday, because I had back-to-back clients, I really didn't eat a lot that day. All right? So I realized that going into my 6:30 workout after work, it was like, oh, Troy, this is not good. There's no fuel in the tank. What are you going to do? So I ate a protein bar on my way to get there. And Mikhail's like, hey, what do we have to eat today? And I said, well, we didn't really have a lot to eat today. I said, but I had a protein bar. He's like, all right, we're going to do the best with what you got. All right? So if I would have went in, packed fully of protein and doing all the things, boy, I could have done the best workout ever. All right? But I had to modify and adjust because there was no gas in the tank. All right? So that, again, extends grace to yourself to understand. Always do your best, but you have to do it depending on the situations and the personal conditions that you put yourself in. Because who's the harsh critic of ourselves? We are! That's not a good thing, all right? So give yourself some love and some grace. Always do your best centers on the dynamic and adaptable nature of our efforts, recognizing that our best can vary from moment to moment, all right? When you have clear understanding that doing our best means giving what you can at the moment without overextending or being overly critical of ourselves. It underscores the importance of self-compassion, acknowledging that being overly harsh or expecting perfection at all times is both unrealistic and counterproductive. All right, I want to park on this for just a second. How many of you struggle with perfectionism? Thank you for your honesty. All right, people who struggle with perfectionism typically have a terrible thyroid. And the reason is because every organ within our body is connected to a different emotion. And our beautiful thyroid works so hard to want to support everything that we do. But perfectionism is going to kill your thyroid out. Because basically your thyroid says, hey, I'm trying to do the best that I can to support you. And if you're not going to open and understand that, guess what? I ain't going to do nothing for you. I'm not going to support you with that. So if you struggle with perfectionism, please extend yourself some grace. Let it go. It doesn't have to be perfect. That's not on my notes today. I don't know why I'm telling anybody this today, but thank you, Spirit. Somebody needs to hear this. It doesn't have to be right. Simply do your best. It's the best you can do. Okay? It doesn't have to be perfect. It's okay. And when you understand that, guess what? Your thyroid's going to go, thank you. I'm going to start working again. Thank you so much. Okay, anywho, here we go. This agreement encourages a balanced approach to effort and performance, and one that accommodates fluctuations in our capabilities while still pushing us to apply ourselves fully. This principle teaches perseverance and resilience, and it fosters a mindset of continuous improvement without attaching to a harsh self-judgment or a fear of failure. Now, Troy, you may ask, how can I apply these agreements to my daily life? Well, I'm glad that you asked, because if there's anything I like to be in life, that is practical, okay? Because it's one thing to have all these beautiful, high and lofty thoughts about the 4 agreements, but if you don't have practicality to help you to integrate that, it sort of just defeats the purpose a little bit. All right, so today, these application of these agreements are not about perfection, but they're about progress. What are they about? Progress. So like we just talked about, it doesn't have to be perfect, all right? Simply do your best, because when you do your best, or when you go and give it all your all, you're making what? Progress. All right, thank you for listening. So, of course, continual practice in making small, consistent changes in how you think and how you can act lead to profound improvements in your life over time. All right, so small steps, those very small steps. So, additional steps for personal growth and freedom. Number 1, be impeccable with your word. Practice mindfulness in your communication. Before speaking, I want you to stop and think and consider the impact of your words. For instance, instead of maybe gossiping at work, maybe you choose to share a positive observation or remain silent. Wow, that's tough for some of us, because some of us have so many wonderful things to share. Okay? Maybe Sally comes in with the worst possible perfume in the world at work, and you're like, okay? And I know people of you've met people like that. It's like, you smell them, 12, 30 feet before they get to you, okay? So instead of saying, wow, Sally, that's a lot of perfume, maybe you can be like, oh, Sally, what a lovely day. Okay? So think about what you have to say. And Jeannie, when I hugged you this morning, I meant that 100%. Yes, this was not about you, okay? So if you get a chance to hug Jeannie today, she smells lovely, by the way, okay? And it's just the right amount. So, sorry about that. So, boy, I just embarrassed myself in a very big way. Anywho, stop and think about what you want to say. Make sure that it's impeccable. All right? Reflect before speaking. Take a moment to think about the impact of your words. All right? Ask yourself these 3 little things. Is it true? Is it necessary? Is it kind? Is it nice? That's right. 3 little things. Is it true? Is it necessary? Is it kind? Practice positive affirmations. Regularly affirm positive statements about yourself and others to help build a habit of positive communication. All right? And as we know in Unity Church, I am is one of the most powerful affirmations that you could say. I am fill in the blank. I am strong, I am powerful, I am confident, I am resilient, and in this case, I am kind. All right? Think about your words. Number 2, don't take anything personally. Whenever you feel offended or upset by someone's comment or actions, remind yourself that their behavior is a projection of their reality, not yours. For example, if a colleague snaps at you, instead of brooding over it, recognize that they might be under stress. We don't know. This mindset shifts helps in not only internalizing negative interaction, but it balances your emotional equilibrium. So reflect on your reactions. When you feel upset by someone's words or actions, pause and remind yourself that their behavior is theirs, not yours. Seek perspective. Discuss your feelings with a trusted friend or write them down to gain perspective and a distance from your situation. Like we talked about the dinner with my brothers. I asked my wife on the way home, I'm like, do you think I'm a one-upper? Okay? I just asked. I could have internalized that, and I could have really been self-defeated. But I had positive, just have communication. Open itself, just talk about it. Just talk. And develop emotional resilience. Engage in practices like mindfulness or meditation to strengthen your ability to remain centered in the face of criticism or rejection. Number 3, do not make assumptions. So how can we practice that in everyday life? Cultivate the habit of seeking clarity in all interactions. If you're unsure about a friend's tone in a text message, ask them directly. I love texting and I love emails, but you can't hear their voice or their heart from where they're coming from. Okay? So if you get a message, it's like, it's completely unsettling. Dude, pick up the phone or just talk to them. Hey, I got this message from you the other day. It seemed to have a little bit of passive-aggressive tone to it. Are we good? Like, what is this about? Seek clarity. It's okay. Seek clarity. It's okay to ask. Guess what? That shows maturity on your part because we don't assume. It's like, hey, help me understand this. What did you mean by that? Oh, there's a guy named Jefferson Fisher. I don't know if you guys seen him on Instagram or not. Love Jefferson Fisher because he's a defense attorney, but like what he does is he helps people understand being mindful with their words. And lady in the back row, hi, I see you're nodding your head back there. Yeah, he's really good, isn't he? He's really remarkable. Jefferson Fisher, look him up. He's really quite remarkable because what he does is he teaches you to ask and get clarification. This approach fosters clear communication and minimizes conflicts. So, ask for clarification. When in doubt, ask. Communicate clearly. Express your own needs and desires clearly to avoid misunderstandings. And lastly, check your interpretation. Regularly assess whether your assumptions are based on fact or an interpretation, because we can mess that up sometimes. And number 4, lastly, always do your best. What I love about this agreement recognizes that your best efforts varies, like we talked about. On days that you're tired or unwell, adjust your expectation and be kind to yourself, knowing that you're doing the best that you can. Set realistic goals. Set achievable goals based on your current circumstances and your energy level. 2, practice self-compassion. So important. Be kind to yourself when your best isn't up to your usual standards, especially during times of stress or illness. And lastly, review and reflect. At the end of each day, reflect on how you did your best in various situations. So incorporating these agreements into your daily life involves consistent practice and self-awareness. It's about making small, conscious choices that align with these principles. And over time, these choices become habits, fundamentally shifting how you interact with yourself and the world and leading to a more balanced lifestyle. So, understanding how all of these can come together in your life can really bring you a sense of balance, can bring you a sense of peace, and being able to live your life. So, about 10 years later, Raul and his son, Juan, wrote another book. And it's called The Fifth Agreement. And the Fifth Agreement, which I really like this, the Fifth Agreement is all about be skeptical, but learn to listen. And as Pastor Elizabeth says so frequently, she's like, folks, you can believe anything that I've said, or you can believe nothing that I've said. You've heard her say that. You know what? And I love the way that she does that. Because when you tell someone the absolute truth, right, that might be their absolute truth, but that may not be your absolute truth. So be skeptical. It's okay to be skeptical. Guess what? These 4 agreements and these things that I just shared with you today, you can take it or leave it. It doesn't matter. All right? I want you to be skeptical. That's good, because when you're skeptical, you learn to think for yourself. And if there's anything that I've realized as I get older, that society and media teaches us to think what they want us to believe. Yeah? We hear all these things. It's like, no, wait. And in my spiritual awakening process, like everything I learned in Scripture was because someone told me that I needed to believe that. But when I really started getting into Scripture, when I started opening myself up to metaphysical teaching and all that divine has for me, whoa, that's when things really started to change. Because guess what? I became skeptical. And I learned to listen. That's a really unique way to look at that. Okay, God, how does this apply to me? Well, Troy, you're an idiot. I'm sure he didn't say it like that. She was probably, God was probably like, bless your heart. Okay, and we all know what that means, all right? But, you know, the grace that God gives us is a wonderful thing, because it's like, they're on their path, they're doing their best, they're really trying, all All right? So be skeptical. It's okay to question even your own beliefs. There are probably beliefs that you hold on to today that if you really asked yourself the question, why do I believe that? You may not have a good answer for that. Be skeptical. And then connect it with Spirit and say, okay, Lord, how does this apply to my life? Do I need to let this belief go? If I let this go, what belief do I want to bring in to replace it? And, the answer is always love. Truly. We throw around love like it's like, oh, this and that. But love truly will save the world. Love is what it's all about. So, listen with an open mind. Use discernment. Evaluate everything. Because when you break free from limiting beliefs, that's when everything opens up. And that allows you to live a more fully authentic life. So I bless you guys today with these beautiful 4 agreements. I hope that you've been able to gain something from this today, that you maybe thought about something differently, you learned something differently. Maybe today you're going to encourage yourself to be a little more skeptical, okay? That's okay. Be healthy about that. Why do I believe this? Is this keeping me from what I feel like that God wants me to accomplish? It's okay to ask questions, because guess what? You can't get it wrong. Everything happens exactly the way it's supposed to happen. And you can't get it wrong. Because in life, when you fail at something, you don't fail at that. You learn from that. We were at a restaurant, and there was a guy that came in with a t-shirt as I closed. And I was like, excuse me, sir, would you mind if I took a picture of your shirt? And he looked at me really odd, and then he looked down at his shirt, and then he smiled, and he looked back up at me, and he's like, yeah. And it simply said, I never lose. I either win or I learn. And if we really think about that, we never lose. We're either winning or we're learning. So I bless you today, guys, to learn. You don't lose, you just learn. And I love it. Did you hear like the ceiling just crackled a few minutes ago when we said that? You hear that? Yeah. They've had engineers in here that say, okay, trying to figure out what that's all about. I just think it's angels dancing on the roof. I think it's angels. I feel like that they're saying, amen, yes, good job, aho, all the things. So I love that they're with us here today. So God bless each and every one of you. Thank you for your attentiveness. Thank you for listening today. I hope that you gained something from this. And God bless you. Thank you. Okay, I guess this is this